Bart, your company's been on fire. I think I see an announcement every day. So tell us what's going on at Esports Technologies.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. So I'm BART BARDEN, COO of Esports Technologies. Just a bit of background on me. I kind of come from, call it the trifecta of, experience in what we do. We're primarily an esports betting platform, and we also, run direct-to-consumer websites that offer esports betting. In that case, I kind of came from, I worked at PopCap Games, EA, after that, so I have, video game publisher knowledge. I worked at Betfair, ran the Betfair exchange for a while back in 15, 16. And then I also worked for a esports broadcasting group right before COVID. So kind of bring that experience into the business. From Esports Technologies perspective, kind of our main goal is, like I said, we have a direct to consumer arm where we're looking to get customers on to consume our brands, a global brand called Gagawi and others. But what we're really also looking to do, and it goes into your challenges and opportunities, and Flavien touched on it, and so did Alex. What we're really trying to build is the technology behind making the esports betting experience catered to that esports bettor. Okay, so everything from better odds, markets that make more sense to them, being able to offer better value, right? That a sports bettor gets to see that an esports bettor might not, or even bringing a betting experience into more of the broadcast, or the way that Flavien said people actually consume esports broadcast is not the same as someone who is watching a soccer match, etc. So challenges and opportunities that I see, and I'll take it from the betting side, of course, is number one, the biggest opportunity is there's, New Zoo statistics say 550 million people are considered hardcore esports fans. Okay, but only a fraction of them are actually betting on the sport at all. So the biggest opportunity is uncovering how to give them a very good experience so that more of that audience become and like to consume a betting product, right? If you do that, there's lots of ways that becomes a really good way for esports to monetize, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, that's the 100% biggest opportunity. The biggest challenge is what we're trying to sort and solve, which is right now, most of the product is a washed out version of sports betting, right? It isn't built for the customer. It isn't built for who they are, how they consume, what they're doing. So we're really trying to actually develop in-house technology that we can use ourselves, but eventually maybe we'll license it down the road to make that betting experience better, give the esports bettor, a better betting experience, to excuse the pun. So that's what we're doing, and that's what I see as a challenge and opportunity.
That's awesome, Bart. And I'm going to start the questions with you, Bart, and then work my way back. Two areas. One area that's kind of near and dear to my heart is peer versus peer wagering on esports, kind of skill-based gaming or competitive gaming using esports as the content. It's something I've been passionate about since my days investing in UMG Gaming, and more recently in a company called GamerWager, which, much like yourself, is going through a licensing process in Nevada. I think you've picked New Jersey to launch, but I'm really interested in what you think the future of that technology is, and where it fits in the ecosystem. And then second, I'm interested in the topic that you kind of raised, which is really, how do you think an esports bettor might be different than a current sports bettor? What are the characteristics that you're looking to seize upon and solve with technology?
Okay, so let's see. I'll try to address the first one, which is more peer-to-peer wagering, right? So just to set the table for everyone, in case say some newbie gamblers, right? I call peer-to-peer wagering and offering odds on professional events are kind of two separate things, right? From a customer perspective, the goal is the same. Someone wants to win money, right? They want to take money. They want to either win it by betting on themselves, right? Or in a way, or they want to win it because they think they know more about a professional event, okay? So the concept is the same. The construct's the same. Getting that user or that customer to stay with you, running a good service, all kind of the same. But the service itself and the product, to your point, is very different, okay? And it's different from how you structure, right, a peer-to-peer service, and it's also different in how it's licensed. Now, given that this is this is much more focused on North America type of, this discussion is more North American, a peer-to-peer wagering product is definitely much more North American friendly because roughly speaking, it gets bucketed under a skill gaming law, right? Versus your betting on a professional event makes you have licensing, etc. So more innovative companies can join the fray on peer-to-peer betting. Okay, so I'd say the main difference is, or to answer your question, the challenge is, well, it's easier to get into. There's lower licensing barrier of entry. But the biggest challenge, I believe, on the peer-to-peer product and making it good is that you need liquidity, right? It's very much more like poker or an exchange than betting, right? If we're a house and we take bets on 10 users, hey, they think we don't know what we're talking about. They think they know what we're talking about, but they can still have a good experience. But if you don't have a lot of people doing peer-to-peer betting with each other, you run out of opponents, you run out of, a good experience. So what you see is some of the guys out there, Players Lounge or some of these guys that like enable some of these services, the ones that are starting to get more liquidity are the ones that are starting to have a better product. Then they can get more innovative and they can do all that kind of stuff, right? So I think that's the biggest thing is you have to develop a product to incent liquidity. Very different than running a risk book, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's the first part of your question. The second part of your question is, what makes the esports better? Okay, so someone who's betting a risk on a risk business, not necessarily the peer-to-peer guy. What makes the experience different? And the way I like to say it is, it's very similar to 10 years ago when, let's say, a lot of the value in sports betting was at a horse racing perspective, right? And this is like outside the US, but I'll use the Europe example. And then over time, a lot of the customers were acquired. They were younger customers. They bet on football or what we call soccer. And we call soccer in America, they call football here, right? And that's kind of where esports better is, right? You needed to build a younger product. It was mobile. They needed to be fast. They needed to be fun. It needed to be accessed at the stadium. That's how that better consumed it. And now in esports, and I mentioned it before, is you have to develop a product for not an even younger from an age perspective, but a different audience, right? They're consuming content for screens. They're watching different streams. They're much more data driven, right? All of these things you need to take into account to offer them something that will be sticky and exciting to them, right? These are the guys that they're not trading on Ameritrade, they're trading on Robinhood, right? So these are the type of people you're working with. So you have to develop a product that can speak to them at kind of point of consumption. So broadcast, odds, feeds, information, but in a clean way. They don't like mess either. So I'd say that would be my second, to answer your second question, speaking to them kind of in the way they consume the content will be a key part as a success factor for an esports betting service.
Excellent, excellent.